Alright, some information you might want to copy down. I think some of you guys are stuck on, I only gave you one side length. Well, remember, this is a isosceles right triangle. How do I know it's an isosceles right triangle? Well, this is 45 degrees. 45 plus this angle equals 180. Well, if this is 90, that means together these have to equal 90. Well, if this is 45, that means this will also be 45. I gave you C, so 6 feet. Well, think about that. If the angles are congruent, then the opposite sides are congruent. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that means B is equal to 6 feet as well. Raise your hand if you had that. And then for D, I can just use the Pythagorean theorem, right? Or you can use your shortcut. The shortcut I put up here. In a 45, 45, 90, you have x, x, and x radical 2. So if our x value is 6, then I have 6, 6, and you just put a 6 there, and you'll have 6 radical 2. Raise your hand if you got 6 radical 2 feet. In the Google Drive, I'll probably put a link to my old Math 4 lessons if you want extra practice on 45, 45 minutes. Okay, so I highlighted this 45-degree angle to be my starting point, my reference angle here. And so sine of 45, Sabrina, what did you get? What is sine? Which two sides? What is the opposite side? And then the hypotenuse? So Sabrina, I have a question for you. If I cancel these 6's, is the answer radical 2? Correct. Remember, there's a 1 up there, and when you rationalize that, that'll become radical 2 over 2. Raise your hand if you got that. Ask you number 3, which two sides are cosine? What is the adjacent? So my adjacent is 6. And the hypotenuse? Okay, and you can cancel your 6's. You essentially have 1 over radical 2. And then when you rationalize this, right, you write radical 2 over radical 2, multiply across, you'll get radical 2 over 2. Raise your hand if you got that. Tangent. Hannah? Yeah, which two sides?
Opposite over adjacent.
And what are our lengths?
6 over 6.
Which equals
1.
1. Raise your hand if you got that. Did anyone recognize that they were exactly the same? Raise your hand if you saw that. Does that make sense? The reason why they're exactly the same, even though they're different lengths, when you compare them, it's a ratio. So when our ratio is a 45 degrees, notice how it's always becoming radical 2 over 2. Cosecant? Girls, which two sides? What's your answer? Now look here. You cancel the 6's, yes? This would have just been 6 radical 2 over 6. Does that make sense? And you're just canceling your 6's there. Boys, secant? Which two sides?
Hypotenuse over adjacent.
Which will become what?
6 radical 2 over 6.
And when you simplify that, you'll just get radical 2. Class cotangent? Which is just what? some of you guys are going to start memorizing, well, that means sine and cosine at 45 are radical 2s over 2s. You're going to recognize, starting to see patterns.